Hi, I'm Ray Fisk. I'm here to discuss building capacity for serving humanity, the ServCollab Approach. In my talk today, I'm going to share with you what ServCollab is, who the officers in ServCollab are that are making our progress happen, what some of the activities we're engaged in, and last, discuss opportunities you have to get involved with ServCollab. So let me get to that. First, here's ServCollab's mission: to serve humanity through service research collaborations that catalyze reducing human suffering and improving human well-being. And here's our new ServCollab logo, which shows a connection between humans and a connection with humans with the planet. The heart at the center is intended to convey the emotional connection to serving humanity through collaboration. ServCollab has three human rights goals. The first, serve, is to serve all humans with research that respects their dignity and supports their rights. Second, enable collaboration among researchers and organizations that span disciplinary and national boundaries in pursuit of diagnosing and treating humanity's many service system problems. And third, transform, to seek transformative reductions in human suffering and measurable improvements in human well-being. ServCollab seeks to collaborate with the existing service research ecosystem. We do that by building a global service research network robust enough to work on big and deep service science problems, to build service research capacity by recruiting, training, and collaborating with scholars from other disciplines, to seek funding for these major service science projects, to create new service research tools and new measurement systems for these large-scale problems, and to collaboratively design or redesign solutions for these problems. ServCollab has three project themes. The first is inclusion, and with inclusion, it's a lack of inclusion that is at the root and core of unjust human service systems. Our second theme is service language. And language, of course, enables human interactions. So ServCollab encourages projects that seek to create service language that researchers and human populations can use to understand and improve human well-being for all. And our third theme is climate change. The service research field needs projects that balance serving human needs now with serving the needs of future generations by protecting the fragile service ecosystem of planet Earth. We're very happy to announce our first ServCollab article. The title is Elevating the Human Experience Through Service Research Collaborations, Introducing ServCollab. And my co-authors on that paper include Linda Alcar, Laurie Anderson, David Bowen, Thorsten Gruber, Amy Ostrom, and Leah Patricio. They are the ServCollab Advisory Board. And that article was just published in the Journal of Service Management just a few weeks ago. And it is available widely for you to read. We hope you will. Next, let's look at the officers in ServCollab, starting with the founding officers. Rodula and Kareem are the beginnings of the officer group in ServCollab and very essential to the success of ServCollab. Rodula's role is the communications function of getting news out on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on the various ServCollab topics that we are trying to share information with you about and to help you get more interested in these topics. And Kareem is our technology officer. He's working on a lot of the technology backbone of what our virtual organization has to have. We have to have a website. We have to have all kinds of electronic communications and collaboration tools. That's Kareem's role. So they are the founding officers. Our second group of officers are ServCollab engagement officers. And Lynn is our first of those. She's the engagement officer working on service inclusion, helping us share topics of interest on including humans of any kind. So that's service inclusion. Amir is our other engagement officer, and he's working on service language, helping share stories and news about the language we used in talking to each other, to help each other or to hurt each other. And our next group of officers are rather new, our ServCollab development officers. This is Christina, who's our first development officer, and Daisy, who's the assistant development officer. These two women are both working on helping us find grants and contracts and other opportunities to develop the future activities of ServCollab. And our next group are each the only officer of their kind at this point, and that includes Rebecca, who's the first country officer for Australia. There will be, we hope, many other countries represented by at least one person from that country. So Rebecca is starting this process of country officers, and she's going to help us recruit other country officers and help us recruit people within the country of Australia and to get them involved in ServCollab activities. And Sertan is our newest of all officers. He's our project officer. He volunteered to work on refugees, and I'll bring up refugees a little more shortly. But Sertan is starting that role. We hope to have other project officers later too. But let's look at ServCollab's approach to doing what we do. For us as a new nonprofit organization, one of our hardest questions is, where should we start? The world is full of severe problems that cause human suffering and prevent human well-being. And to elevate the human experience, ServCollab has decided to build on the concepts and logic of two research fields, starting with intersectionality, and by embracing and applying the concepts and logic of intersectionality to understand the complexity of each human experience. We think with intersectionality, we will do a better job of thinking deeply about what each human being's needs are. And second, public health. By broadening and applying the concepts and logic of public health to fully serving human needs in large groups, we can do a better job of understanding how to help people in large groups. ServCollab's lead project is serving refugee needs. And the title of that project is Rethinking Service Systems and Public Policy, a Transformative Refugee Service Experience Framework. It was led by Silke, Sertan, and me. We started that project at the May 2019 Transformative Consumer Research Conference last year, and it is already forthcoming in the Journal of Public Policy and Marketing this next year. But here's the rest of the team, because it wasn't just the three of us by any means. There were 13 of us involved in this project, and the 13 of us represented 7 different countries, and in fact, eight of the members were from other countries and working in a different country now. So in addition to the 3 of us I've already mentioned, it includes Linda, Lily, Janan, George, Aaron, Nadina, Mansour, Palab, Marcos, and Nina. This group were essential, all 13 were essential to making our refugee project happen. And we're quite eager to share some of what we have in that article that will be coming out shortly. But I'm going to give you a taste of what we have in the article to help you start thinking about it with this slide. In that article, we proposed a transformative refugee service experience framework. And there are 2 parts, so let me take it one by one. The first part, the top part, shows a refugee service experience and the characteristics of refugee service systems. So our logic was that if a refugee service system is hostile towards refugees, the refugee experience will be suffering. And if the service system for the refugees is hospitable toward them, then the refugee service experience will be an experience of well-being. So we basically had the logic of the degree of suffering or well-being is a function of how they're being treated by the refugee service system. The second level of this framework is a deeper dive into what's happening. So inside this, we look at the refugee service journey from when they're fleeing a country and becoming a refugee. That's what we mean by entry. Then there's the transition stage from where they're leaving to where they're trying to go. And the third stage, the exit stage, is when they exit being a refugee and they're now established in some new country. So 3 different stages of the journey. And then we looked at 3 different system levels, starting with the micro level of the individuals, the meso level of the organizations, and the macro level at nation states. So there's 3 different system levels for the refugee service systems. So that creates 9 different cells in which the refugee service experience might be one of suffering to as good as well-being. This could be measured, and this is among the many things we hope future researchers will do, that they might develop measurement scales for measuring refugee service experience. Now, what are the next steps then for serving refugee needs? And this is where Sertan is going to be very involved. One of these is building collaborative alliances with other refugee research groups. And this is, of course, a large number of refugee research groups that are out there. We need to build those alliances. We also need to build alliances with nonprofits and governmental agencies working to help refugees. We also need to build collaborative research projects. Now, we have 3 sets of these. Inclusion is one where we think we need to dig deeper on improving refugee service systems. We think we need measurement scales for monitoring refugee service experiences. We think we need qualitative studies in countries and regions to assess the refugee service experience. Second, as a project area, we think service language should be used as a tool to disrupt the language of discrimination and persecution that is so often used against refugees. And third, we should seek to prevent climate change refugees. Climate change is a severe problem worldwide, and refugees are now fleeing climate change in many parts of the world. That needs serious attention too. So here's our call to collaborative action. Having shown you all of those things, this is an opportunity for you to make a bigger difference in your career and in the entire world. We're looking for volunteers, for numerous volunteers, as officers. This includes country officers to encourage participation in ServCollab and its research project initiatives. It includes multimedia officers to help create more engaging ServCollab multimedia content that we can share. It includes web content officers to help develop and grow the ServCollab website. And also, we will soon be seeking ideas and volunteers for Next Step Refugee Services research projects. So stay tuned for that. We hope to have that information out soon. And last in my slides here is the ways you can join us and get involved, starting with how to join ServCollab. You can go to our website to do that. And how can you communicate with us? You can communicate with us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. There's the addresses for all of those. And you can reach me directly at Fisk, at servcollab.org. Those are all the ways to communicate with us. We hope you'll join us and get involved. And please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for your attention.